is NBC Sports World. And today, it's brought to you by Anheuser-Busch St. Louis, brewers of Michelob. Some things speak for themselves. By Sears Roebuck and Company. For quality merchandise, coast to coast, it's Sears. By the Ask For It Motor Oil Pennzoil. Protection worth asking for. And by Kentucky Fried Chicken. We do chicken right.
These are the Pocono Mountains in northeastern Pennsylvania, and we're at one of the most unique race courses in the world, the Tri-Oval that is Pocono International Raceway. And we're here for Championship Auto Racing Team's Pocono 500. Hello, I'm Paul Page, and this has been a most exciting season for kart. 5 races, 5 different winners. At the first race of the season, it was Gordon Johncock. And then at the second kart race, Tom Sneva backed up his Indianapolis victory with a win. At Cleveland, it was Al Unser breaking a long dry spell. And then a rookie, John Paul Jr., won at the Michigan 500. And Mario Andretti put his name in the winner's column at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. So it seems like it's anybody's race here today. And to add to the interest, 1/3 of this starting field is composed of rookies on one very rough course. One name is absent, though. You'll remember at the Michigan 500, Gordon Johncock careened into the wall after a part on his car broke. And then when he slid to a stop, we found that bones in both legs were broken. At the same time, his teammate, Johnny Rutherford, was recovering from similar injuries suffered in practice for the Indianapolis 500. Well, Johnny Rutherford is back in a race car, and Gordon Johncock has joined us as a driver expert.
Johnny here, my teammate, has got healed up from his accident that he had at the Speedway in May, and I think he's ready to go with a new version of the Wildcat here that we hope that we've done some testing with and hope is as good as some of the rest of the cars. John, maybe you got some comments on the car. I know you had a little time for a little practice, but not a whole lot because of all the rain that we've had here.
Yes, Gordy, the new Sea Ray Wildcat, Sea Ray Boats Wildcat is a much better car than they had for us in Indianapolis, for sure. As you know, they've redesigned the back end of the car. The body is different on the car, the aerodynamics, so it's quite a bit better, and I think you're really going to like it.
Well, I hope so, but, you know, I really don't know how long before it's going to be back, but I know you're here to take over. I know what it's like now going through the healing pains that you had here for 3 or 4 months, but it does seem good to be here, although I'd much rather be in the race car. But,
you know, it seems like we were doing this in shifts. I was the first shift, and now you're the second shift.
Well, you're
ready to go again. I'm not going to get back out.
You're not going to be the third shift, that's for sure.
No.
Well, neither one of us are sitting on the pole today, but I think Gary Gerald is down in the pit area with Tom Sneva, who's sitting on the pole today for the Pocono 500.
Well, Gordy, this is the first time in 2 years that Tom Sneva has been on the pole, and while he's happy to be on the pole, I know there are some major concerns that relate to the racetrack and the condition of the course, Tom.
Well, that's true. The track is real rough, especially on the main straightaway, and, you know, when we're starting 2 and 3 abreast, it's going to be tough on the inside guys, especially when you try to accelerate through all the problems. It's not hard to jump the rear wheels off the ground, and if they're spinning and it comes down, it could be going some other direction but straight. So the guys are going to have to be very careful on the start of the race.
I noticed in the drivers' meeting you broached the idea of a single-file restart. There wasn't much support from the other drivers.
Well, there wasn't, but, you know, I hope in the back of the mind they realize that this is a little more serious than they might be thinking. So the guys are going to have to be heads up, and, you know, if they're smart, they're going to try to fall in line and not try to run down low through the rough stuff at the beginning of the race.
Well, not only is there a concern at the start of the race, when you go 200 laps on a surface such as this, it's got to be tough on all of the equipment as well as you, a driver.
For sure. It's going to be the toughest race we've had on the equipment because it is so rough. And if you're forced to pass a lot of people because of pit stop problems or whatever, you're going to have to get down in places on the racetrack that you don't want to be, and you take the chance of hurting the equipment.
Tom, 1/3 of the field are rookie drivers, their first time competing at Pocono. How big a concern is that to you as a veteran driver?
Well, it is. You know, obviously the chapters on their books aren't complete, and we're going to have to try to give them as much room as we can. But again, there's not that much room out here because the track conditions, and especially the corners. There's only one groove in the corner that you can really go fast on. So it's going to be a heads-up race, and hopefully the guys are using their heads today.
So obviously a lot on the mind of Tom Sneva as he gets to start from the pole position for 500 miles here at Pocono. Let's go back up to Paul Page.
Thank you, Gary. A beautiful day here in the Poconos. A crowd of over 45,000 here to enjoy this 500-mile race. The field is now ready. Temperatures comfortably in the mid-70s. We expect a fast afternoon. There is Howdy Holmes' car, and if you look over his right shoulder, you'll see the NBC kart cam. The view that it will be giving us throughout this race, looking over his shoulder, down at his instrument console, and out ahead on the race course. Our pole sitter, Tom Sneva, alongside Teo Fabi. Fabi, who sat on the pole at Michigan, sat on the pole at Milwaukee and at Indianapolis, but starts here in second place. The first two cars are March cars powered by that Cosworth engine. And now the engines are started. The field begins to pull away. And Chief Stewart, Wally Dallenbach, like last year, has decided because the course is so rough here at Pocono, they will start in rows of two rather than in their traditional rows of three for a 500-mile race. All field. And here's how it looks from the 8th row, just over Howdy Holmes' right shoulder, as he begins to close up, and the field now strings toward the green flag. Tom Sneva brings him down. Nick Bernal waves the green flag, and we're off and racing at the Pocono 500. Tom Sneva jumps into the lead. Teo Fabi drops in right behind. Jose Garza came way down to the inside of the course. They may have started in rows of two, but they darted out three abreast, coming down the main straightaway. Now the battle begins as Tom Sneva leads onto the Long Pond stretch, heading for the second turn. The first two turns here are banked. The third turn is very, very flat.
Yes, it is, Paul, but as you see, it was a very clean start. When they come down the front straightaway, they still were three abreast, and that's what the drivers were really complaining about because the track was too rough. But still, when they get running out there, you really don't think about that. You're thinking about getting by the guy in front of you. And as they enter turn three now, you're going to see them get pretty well single filed out on the first lap.
Off the screen, sitting in 6th place, you can see Rutherford as he comes down low. And let's go back and look at 10th place now. Here's the view over Howdy Holmes' shoulder. That's Don Whittington down on the inside, Chip Ganassi on the outside. A smoke, they touch tires. Whittington is spinning. Whittington up against the wall, a hard hit. He hits it again and again as Whittington slams into the wall. It looks like he just barely touched with Chip Ganassi. You saw it. The same view that Howdy Holmes saw. Holmes started to the inside and got past. Whittington now sitting against the wall. The crews are there, no movement from the car. We'll see if Whittington's all right. Obviously, the yellow flag comes out. And Tom Sneva heads toward Gary Gerald. John Cock, let's take a look at it from Howdy Holmes' cockpit.
Oh, yes, Paul. You can see by watching through the camera on Howdy's car how rough it really is. And I think you'll see as the race goes on that most of the guys will get away from trying to pass going down the front straightaway. As you can see right now, they're going down the front straightaway three abreast. But I think they'll get set up a little better with their cars as it goes on, going through turn one, so they can pass between turn 1 and 2, and also between turn 2 and 3, where it is a lot smoother.
You can definitely see Howdy's head get thrown back and forth when he slams over those bumps, and when you do it at 200 miles an hour, it rubs the bottom, the skid blocks, off these cars very quickly. The yellow flag is back out here at Pocono. The report is some debris on the race course, so they slowed the field down while we've been discussing the situation with the bumps here at Pocono International. But the kart crews have cleared the course, and it's safe to race again as the green flag comes out. It's Rick Mears, our leader. He is sitting back in the serial, though. Desiree Wilson actually will lead the field into the first turn in car number 34. Then Rick Mears, that's Vic Ferguson down on the inside, and Kevin Cogan is following Rick Mears. Now coming down through turn 1. Mears begins to close on Desiree, and Desiree loses it. Wilson into the wall. Mears gets by. Cogan gets by. Now several other cars involved. Several cars spinning as they come off the first turn. A car up over the wall. It slides down, pieces coming off of it. Several cars spinning. A serious and major accident here as we came back to the green flag. No movement in either car. That looks like John Paul Jr., the winner of the Michigan 500. No movement in his car. Desiree Wilson's car, the crews are there with her. She does not appear to be moving in the cockpit either. So a serious accident here. Chuck Ziprich is sitting stop. Gordy, let's look at it.
Yes, Paul. It looks like Desiree just starts to lose it there. It gets sideways. The car spins around. She hits the wall directly head on. Very luckily, by the looks of the car, that it's no worse than it is. And the rest of them coming from behind. You can see Scott Brayton there getting slowed down whatsoever. But here comes another car. Goes right over the top of Scott Brayton. It looks like John Paul Jr.